Okay, get this. We're talking spider goats today.
Spider goats.
Yeah, not like a weird comic book thing.
Right.
Real live goats
Yeah.
that are genetically engineered
Uh-huh.
to make spider silk protein in their milk.
It's wild.
I know. It's like one of those things where you hear it and you're like, hold on, wait, what?
Yeah. How does that even work?
That's what that's what we're diving into today. That's the deal with spider goats.
Yeah. We're going to unpack all of that.
All the sources we've got, some
Yeah.
really interesting stuff.
It's fascinating. It's a really cool blend of
Yeah.
biology and engineering.
Yeah.
Because it has the potential to revolutionize a bunch of different fields. Everything from medicine to manufacturing. We're talking about.
I'm sold. Like, how do they? So
It's really cool.
scientists are like rounding up spiders and
Well, thankfully not, because
granting them.
that would be a very difficult process. Because as anyone who's encountered a spider knows, they're not the most cooperative creatures.
No.
And spider silk,
They seem a little,
it's an incredible material.
Yeah.
It's actually, weight for weight, stronger than steel.
Really?
But to farm spiders on a scale to get enough of that, that would be a nightmare.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Thankfully, that's where the goats come in.
Okay.
So scientists have figured out how to isolate the specific gene in spiders that's responsible for producing what's called dragline silk, which is the strongest kind of spider silk.
Okay.
And they could take that gene and, using some really, really impressive genetic engineering, they can insert that gene into a goat's DNA.
So we're just like giving goats superpowers, essentially.
Sure.
Like we're taking...
And what's really cool is they're not making the goats part spider.
Right.
They're specifically targeting this gene insertion to activate only in the milk production genes.
Oh.
So it's only expressed in the goat's milk.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, you're not going to find spider silk anywhere else in the goat's body. It's only in the milk.
So how do they even isolate it?
Well, so there are a couple of different methods.
Okay.
And they all have kind of their pros and cons.
Okay.
But I guess the easiest way to think about it is, imagine you're trying to separate sand from water,
Okay.
right?
Right.
You could use a sieve. You could let the sand naturally settle to the bottom, or you could just evaporate all the water and be left with the sand.
Right.
So there's similar kinds of concepts where, depending on what you're using the silk for, you need to separate it from the milk in a certain way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there are two main methods. There's kind of like a thermal extraction where they heat it up,
Yeah.
and that kind of separates the proteins out.
Oh, okay.
Or there are acidic extraction methods.
Oh, wow.
And so those are kind of the two main ways that they get it out of the milk.
So at the end of the day, regardless of the method, we're left with pure spider silk protein,
Exactly.
all thanks to a goat.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
It is. It really shows how cutting-edge science can often sound a lot like science fiction.
Yeah.
It's like, how would you even come up with this?
Yeah. And like, who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
We've got these animals that we associate with, like, farms and
Right.
fields.
Yeah.
And they're making something that's like you said, stronger than steel.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It's incredible.
Plus, those goats are just living their best lives, by the way.
Right. They're just like, whatever, man.
They have no idea.
They're just chilling, making spider silk milk.
They're just, making their super silk milk.
This is fine.
This is fine.
Okay, so we've got this spider goat milk. It's full of this amazing silk protein.
Right.
What do we actually do with it?
So many things. Like, get ready to have your mind blown.
Okay.
The potential applications of this bioengineered silk are pretty much endless.
Okay.
We could be talking about revolutionizing medical treatments.
Oh, wow. Okay. Medical treatments.
Yeah.
Using spider silk. Like, what are we talking about?
Imagine this.
Okay.
You're a burn victim. You need a skin graft.
Okay.
Instead of using artificial skin or trying to get a skin graft from a donor,
Right.
they can use this bioengineered silk to grow new skin for you.
Whoa.
That's a perfect match for your body.
So you're telling me, like, the same material that helps a spider build its web could help rebuild a human heart valve?
Exactly.
Thanks, what?
Yeah, things like sutures.
Like, that's wild.
Okay.
What else? There's got to be more.
Oh, yeah.
What else can we do with it?
So, like, sutures, like, those little threads that they use to stitch up wounds?
Right.
Spider silk sutures would be incredibly strong.
Okay.
And because they're naturally biocompatible,
Yeah.
your body wouldn't reject them. We could be talking about a future where, like, wounds heal up with practically no scarring.
See, So now
Yeah.
that would be revolutionary.
It's huge, yeah.
Because I mean, I'm covered in scars, so like that's
Yeah.
huge. Okay, so medical, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Are there other like applications outside of that that we can
Yeah, absolutely.
oh,
Remember how we were saying that spider silk is weight for weight stronger than steel?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That property makes it a really, really attractive material for all sorts of like industrial applications.
Okay.
So imagine like
Give me an example.
like lighter, more fuel efficient airplanes
Oh, okay.
that are built with spider silk composites.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Wow,
yeah.
that's incredible,
Oh,
right?
it's crazy, right?
Wow. Okay, so like stronger, light material that we can use for like I mean the applications are kind of endless.
Pretty much, yeah. And the thing is, like, we're just scratching the surface here.
Okay.
Like, researchers are exploring the use of spider silk in things like bioelectronics.
Okay.
So imagine, like, a fitness tracker, right?
Yeah.
That's not even on your skin,
Uh-huh.
but it's actually inside your body, constantly monitoring your health.
Oh, wow.
That's the kind of future that spider silk could help us create.
Okay. So, I mean, it sounds really cool.
It is really cool.
But with any new technology,
Okay.
especially one that, you know, involves manipulating life, essentially,
Yeah.
we have to ask, like, should we be doing this?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And it's not one with an easy answer, unfortunately.
No. Right.
Because there are definitely, like, the potential benefits are enormous.
Yeah.
But we can't ignore the potential risks either.
Of course not.
And that's really the crux of it.
Okay, so it's not as simple as spider silk's good, so spider goats must be good.
Right, exactly.
What are some of the concerns that people have raised?
Well, one of the biggest ones is just the welfare of the spider goats themselves, right?
Right.
People want to know, are these animals suffering as a result of these genetic modifications?
Okay. Yeah.
Are we creating like
Right.
a generation of Franken goats?
Right.
And,
Yeah.
thankfully, all the evidence suggests that that's not the case.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good.
These goats, by all accounts, are living perfectly normal, healthy goat lives.
So, okay, the goats themselves are okay. But what about like the bigger picture?
Yeah.
Like what if a spider goat escapes?
Right.
Could their genes spread to like the wild goat population?
So
Okay.
that is a very valid concern.
Right?
And it kind of gets into this whole discussion of what are called transgenic animals,
Okay.
which are basically, when you insert genes from one species into another.
Right, right.
These are transgenic goats.
Okay.
And anytime you're introducing transgenic animals into an environment, there's always a risk
Okay.
that those genes could escape with potentially unforeseen consequences.
So even if the spider goats themselves aren't like,
Okay.
a danger,
Right.
their genes could have like ripple effects that we can't
It's not-
predict.
And it's a really complex issue
Yeah.
that scientists are taking very, very seriously. Right. And so I think it's worth really unpacking some of those ethical and ecological considerations in a little bit more detail.
Okay. Okay, so we're talking about transgenic goats, spider silk genes, all that, and like the potential for those genes to sort of escape into the wild. It sounds like a movie, but it's something we have to think about. So what are we talking about specifically with these genes spreading? Like, what's the concern?
Okay, so imagine like a spider goat gets out
Right.
and breeds with a wild goat.
Okay.
Those spider silk genes could end up in the offspring, right? Now, we don't expect like goats to be suddenly spinning webs from trees.
Right, right.
But there are other, maybe less obvious consequences, right?
Give me an example.
So let's say those spider silk genes, they give those wild goat offspring some kind of advantage, right? Maybe their hooves are a bit tougher or their fur is a little more resistant to the weather.
Okay.
Over time, even those little changes, they can give them a real leg up, you know? Could disrupt that natural balance.
So it's like, it's not even about the spider goats themselves necessarily. It's their genes and how they could impact like the whole ecosystem in ways that we might not even be able to predict.
Yeah, you're hitting the nail on the head.
Okay.
It's not just the individual creature, it's the ripple effects.
Right.
And that's why scientists are working on ways to deal with this.
Okay.
One is containment, right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Keep them secure so they can't escape.
Right. Physical containment.
Exactly.
But what about the, you mentioned like biological containment. That sounds pretty high tech.
That's the next level. Okay. One idea is to make the spider goats, not able to reproduce,
Okay.
sterile, basically.
So even if they get out.
Even if they get out, no spreading genes.
They can't pass it on.
Exactly.
Okay.
Another thought is you could engineer the gene itself so it's only active, under very specific conditions,
Oh, interesting.
like conditions you wouldn't find in the wild.
So it's like a safety switch almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. But I feel like no matter what you're doing, like on top of all of that, you need to be constantly, you know,
Oh, absolutely.
monitoring.
Vigilance is key.
Yeah.
We need those regulations
Yeah.
and to be always watching for those unexpected problems.
Okay, so we're talking like a multi-layered approach here to try to manage these
Yeah,
risks.
exactly.
Physical containment, biological safeguards, and then constant, like, being on top of it.
Monitoring, exactly.
Yeah, which, I mean, I guess given, like, how beneficial this could be and also the risks, it's kind of, like, necessary.
Yeah, it's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
This is cutting edge,
Right.
profound implications.
Yeah.
We have to be cautious and we have to be open with people about it.
Well said. Well said. We've covered a lot today.
We have.
We started out with, how do you even make a spider goat?
Right.
Then we went through why are we even doing this? What's the point? And then, of course, all the ethical considerations, the ecological concerns. It's a lot.
It is a lot to think about.
It is. But that's kind of the point of these deep dives, right? We want to give everyone listening all the information, the good, the complicated, so they can make informed decisions.
Informed decisions, that's what it's all about.
Exactly. So, to everyone listening, whether it's spider goats or anything else that sounds like it's straight out of sci-fi, don't just take our word for it.
Yeah.
Look into it, ask questions, talk about it. It's the only way we're going to figure out this whole future thing together.
Well said. Couldn't agree more.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll catch you next time.